You, who have performed comedy for 18 years, for the first time portrayed something unsettling, made the audience collectively scared stiff. When you played the knocking ghost, you could make everyone react with alarm at the sound of knocking. When you played the faceless ghost in the mirror, you could make everyone afraid to look in mirrors. Only because you awakened a fear value collection system. You must scare people to gain fear points. This is the beginner's gift package the system gave you. Successfully opened the knocking ghost skin. But who would have thought this beginner's gift package was the beginning of my nightmare? Because this beginner's gift package was like a membership that required renewal, and it even automatically renewed. Damn it. Deducting 10,000 fear points every month. If fear points are deducted into the negative, Grandpa Luo would appear in my dreams to teach me how to scare people. I also struggled posting updates on platforms like Weibo, but those netizens didn't buy it at all. This morning, after I discovered a strange variety show, I changed my approach. Immediately signed up, and I hope none of us get scared, and successfully explore Fenchman Village. I looked at the three people and said calmly. The director nodded, listening to my reply. In that case, our variety show will officially begin tonight at 12 a.m., which is on the day of the Ghost Festival. Before we start, I'll emphasize the rules again. The players present can use various methods to scare others. If a player's heart rate reaches 180, they will be eliminated. The last remaining winner will receive a 500,000 reward. If, before tomorrow at 12 p.m., multiple players' heart rates consistently do not reach 180, then they will split the 500,000 evenly. The director finished speaking, looking at the time very hastily. Then, without looking back, he dove into the broadcast van. Dong dong dong, the 12 o'clock bell rang. It's Zhongyuan Street. Holy crap. I said, why was that kid so rushed? He spoke without even catching his breath. So it was Zhongyuan Street. Director, I'm filming this variety show to make money, not to court death. Looking at the director's reaction. Does he know the inside story of Fenchman Village? I started to look forward to the performance of the four youngsters in Fenchman Village. Jia Hao, wearing a black hoodie. After hearing the 12 o'clock bell ring, he gave me a deep look, surprised I was so good at pretending, and still not scared at all. When we go down the path later, I hope you don't get scared stiff. I grumbled a few words inwardly. Jia Hao bowed slightly, casually stomped his feet a bit. At the same time, he adjusted the hood of his hoodie. He looked at everyone and said, let's go. After speaking, he walked down the path alone. Seeing this, the two girls exchanged a glance and quickly followed. At this moment, only I was left at the scene. Watching the three walk down the path one after another. A deranged smile curled at the corner of my mouth. I refused to believe I still can't earn any fear points this time. Walking on the small path leading down. Both sides were overgrown with weeds. Even though the moon was very big at night. But due to the obstruction of trees, it was still difficult to see the ground underfoot. We could only rely on the mobile phone in hand, using its flashlight to grope forward. Jia Hao walked in front, continuously parting the surrounding weeds, trying his best to appear relaxed. To film this episode of the variety show, the director's team had already been here, and deployed many night vision cameras. They only needed to continuously switch cameras from the broadcast van, so the live stream audience could then see the actions of the four of us throughout. People should have a sense of awe. It's better to believe some things exist than to believe they don't. I still remember last time something strange happened to our crew. Speaking of this, Jia Hao let out two dry laughs. He turned his head back and continued, ha ha. In this wilderness, let's not talk about such things. Afterwards, he gave a deep look at me, who was following at the very back, wanting to see fear in my eyes. But what responded to Jia Hao was only my clear, foolish gaze. I only saw myself quickly nod my head. Brother Jia Hao is right. Just 2 days ago, I saw a post on Weibo. It said something about a door-knocking ghost surprisingly appearing at our small supermarket. As I spoke, I pulled out my phone and opened Weibo, finding the original post. As I clicked on the audio, a muffled yet clear knocking sound echoed all around. The two girls felt their hearts tighten, and quickly turned their heads to look. I flipped my phone screen around, pointed at the phone, facing the three of them, and said, "It's this post." The op also claimed that after hearing this sound, you would be cursed, and the knocking ghost would come to your door. All of that is fake. We should save some phone battery for light. Jia Hao feigned composure. I blinked twice, and nodded. I turned off my phone, watched everyone turn back, and then proceeded towards Fenjman village. As I followed behind everyone, the innocence in my eyes instantly vanished. What Jia Hao just said was clearly meant to scare me. Everyone present, except for me, was an actor from Lin Yipian. And everything Jia Hao said was nothing more than an attempt to put psychological pressure on me. He said half of what he wanted to say, then suddenly said it wasn't the time to talk about such things. It was clearly a case of trying to appear virtuous after doing something shameful. All along the way, Jia Hao walked at the very front, every now and then pausing to ponder for a few seconds, and then looking and walking in another direction. Every time I saw Jia Hao do this, I knew he must have taken the wrong path again. Under Jia Hao's lead, what should have been a 50-minute journey, after an hour and a half of trekking through mountains and streams, successfully arrived at the entrance of Fenjman village. The vegetation at the entrance of Fenjman village was not as lush as along the mountain path. A reddish moon was faintly visible in the sky. Inside the village, the houses were dilapidated, most of the walls had collapsed, with red bricks exposed. The grey bricks on the ground emitted a faint, cold glow. From time to time, several crow caws could be heard from the woods. "Are we really going to go in?" Zhang Jia tugged up her top. Her tube-top-clad figure, her face full of apprehension, stared at Fenjman village. Although she was a veteran horror film actress, spending a night in a desolate, long-dilapidated village, and especially in this kind of place, no one could remain completely calm. Seeing this, Jia Hao casually glanced at Zhang Jia's chest, subconsciously swallowed, and waving his hand at everyone, said, "It's just a village. Don't be afraid. I want to go to the bathroom first. You guys go ahead. I'll come find you right away." I looked at Jia Hao, his little brother standing tall, and smiled awkwardly. Hearing what I said, Jia Hao waved his hand dismissively, his face full of disdain. "Then we'll go find Taishi first. Don't forget to follow us right away. After all, in the wilderness, some things are bound to happen." Having said this, Jia Hao said no more, but walked forward on his own. Seeing this, the two women looked at me leaving, then looked at Jia Hao, and decided to follow Jia Hao deeper into the village. As for me, after seeing the retreating figures of everyone, I walked towards a nearby house. Arriving at the house, the smile at the corner of my mouth became even more sinister. System, ding. Weather skin suit, knock on the door. Ghost skin suit has been equipped. Host mirror image activated. As the system's voice faded, I only felt my body seemed to be wrapped in leather. In the blue screen before my eyes, a mirror appeared. Looking at myself in the mirror, I don't know why, but a sudden urge to knock on the door rose in my heart. Every day in my dreams, it was him knocking on my door. This time, it's finally my turn. I smiled and immediately left the house, preparing to experiment. Which door should I knock on first? Looking at the surrounding scene, I was completely stunned. There were no doors around. Even a window was a luxury. Are you kidding? Fenjman village really lives up to its name. There isn't even a door. What am I supposed to knock on? Meanwhile, on the other side, Jia Hao's journey so far had been relatively smooth. Unlike how he had originally come to the village, the surroundings were even more dilapidated. Even a door on the surrounding houses was a luxury. And in a house before him, with only half a door remaining, a rotten chair was placed in the center. The outside's crimson moonlight passed through the door and window, shining on the chair. The chair, originally chipped of paint, was dyed blood red. This is just too perfect. And there's nothing special about it. Looking at the chair before him, although Jia Hao felt a bit uneasy in his heart, but thinking of the two girls behind him, at this moment, he also emboldened himself, and said nonchalantly. Meanwhile, the people watching the live stream, looking at the heart rate displayed behind the avatars of the guests in the top left corner, and then looking at Jia Hao, who was acting nonchalant in the live stream, for a moment, they didn't know what to say. At this moment, Jiahao's heart rate indicator was 150, yet he maintained a calm demeanor, as if the scene before him had no effect whatsoever. Bro, it's already like this, and you're still pretending? Help. Which film crew was this Jiahao from before? I really can't take it anymore. Actually, he wasn't like this when he was filming a show. Amidst the speechless viewers in the live stream, and the shocked gazes of the two girls, Jiahao was seen quietly walking towards the Grandmaster's chair, then sat down. Don't mess with things. Brother Jiahao, we really shouldn't mess around with these rather eerie chairs, right? The two girls watched Jiahao sit on the Grandmaster's chair, their faces instantly turned pale, and quickly spoke up to persuade him. Upon hearing the two girls' persuasion, and seeing the horrified expressions on their faces, the sense of superiority in Jiahao's heart surged again. We've walked all this way, let's sit down and rest for a bit. What's wrong? If you ask me, this Grandmaster's chair is not even as scary as that comedian from earlier, whose fake Weibo jokes were scary. As he spoke, Jiahao opened his phone and searched for Knocking Ghost. Jiahao had not forgotten. If he won in this variety show, there would be a 500,000 prize money. The two girls' mental state was now on the verge of collapse. While dealing with two competitors, he could also put on this act. Just thinking about it made Jiahao feel thrilled. Never open the ringtone below. Only by singing in front of the Knocking Ghost would there be a sliver of hope for survival. While reading the Weibo content, Jiahao complained. This kind of stuff is not even as good as 10 years ago. What I saw in QQ Zone. Forward to 10 group chats. Misfortune disperses. That was more real. Knock knock knock. A dull yet clear knocking sound came from Jiahao's phone. After hearing the knocking sound from the phone, the two girls instantly shrieked. Their heart rates were also constantly soaring. Facing the two girls' screams, Jiahao's lips under his mask curled into a wild smile. But he still maintained an indifferent expression. Knock knock knock. The knocking sound rang out again. This time, the knocking sound was even duller and clearer, as if it was striking everyone's hearts. After the two girls heard the knocking sound, their screams intensified, surpassing Jiahao's composure. Jiahao chuckled twice, about to close his phone. But when he saw on his phone that the audio had already finished playing, a wave of audio swept through the entire person, lasting only a short 7 seconds. And from the start of playback until now, let alone 7 seconds, it had already been 30 seconds. That second knocking sound. Under the mask, Jiahao's smile froze on his face. He lifted his head like a robot, looking outside the door. Knock knock knock. At this moment, the half-open door outside seemed to knock rhythmically. Each knock was neither hurried nor slow. Like a clockwork mechanism, the door opened. An old person, resembling a withered tree, stood before the door. Green. His green skin was covered with dense, tiny bodies. Mottled, star-red moonlight fell upon the old man, giving off an indescribable sense of eeriness. Caw, 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 as the sound of crows outside rang out. The old man before them moved, his body stiff, giving off the feeling of not being alive. Because my reason for leaving the team earlier was to use the restroom. The people in the control room naturally wouldn't point the camera at me, but rather focused it on Jiahao and the two others. The viewers in the livestream chat did not know what exactly was happening outside the door, but now the door was pushed open by the old man. After the viewers in the livestream saw this figure, the live stream chat instantly erupted. What the F? No, this isn't right. It's really happening. I'm a prophet. This must be someone the production team hired to pretend. Ghosts? Real or fake, that's not the point. Let's put that aside for now. I studied medicine in college. Just looking at the spots on this old man in front of me, he's been dead for at least 10 days. Holy crap. Really? Is that true? There couldn't be a real one mixed in, could there? With my appearance, the livestream's bullet comments went wild. And the two girls who were competing with me froze on the spot. They couldn't utter a single word. The heart rate on their wrists, the monitoring watch kept flashing red. Evidently, it had already exceeded 180 beats per minute. With a crash, Jiahao fell off the chair. His entire body went limp. Even getting up was a luxury. His mind was completely blank. As I stepped 1 foot into the room, Jiahao only felt a buzzing explosion in his head. Repent, yes. Repent and there's a way out, yes. I'm sorry, I'm guilty. Jiahao spoke tremblingly, but still tried his best to suppress the fear in his heart. He said, I shouldn't have looked at Xianxia's photo. While saying this, Jiahao looked at the old man in front of him. Seeing that the old man had no intention of stopping, Jiahao shouted again, I shouldn't have tricked fans into going to the hotel. As Jiahao uttered this sentence, I, standing by the back door, was stunned. I was completely dumbfounded. What the hell is this, tricking fans into a hotel? What is this guy doing? Why are you telling me all this? Just as I was wondering, the content I edited on Weibo a few days ago appeared in my mind. It's quite juicy. When Jiahao saw me stop, he quickly shouted at the two girls, what are you still standing there stunned for? Hurry up and confess. I shouldn't discriminate against influencer players. I shouldn't use a dummy account to call them cringy men. Xianxia was the first to react. She quickly spoke up. Only the other girl stammered, unable to say a word for a long time. What the hell is going on? Jiahao actually tricked female fans into going to a hotel. Xianxia discriminated against influencer players, and after today, even if these two aren't scared to death, they'll probably be blacklisted from the entertainment industry. Just as everyone in the live stream room bowed their heads in silent mourning, I moved again. I turned my head like a machine, looking at Xianxia sitting on the ground. Although my movements were slow, what's more terrifying than instant death is the process of waiting for death. An ear-piercing scream rang out. Xianxia rolled her eyes and collapsed onto the ground. My target shifted from Xianxia to Jiahao. Brother, Dad, Grandpa, please don't kill me. At this moment, Jiahao's facial muscles twitched. Tears streamed down, and he wet himself. Moreover, whiffs of a foul smell came from between his legs. The next moment, Jiahao continuously spat white foam from his mouth, and lay on the ground convulsing. Congratulations, host, you gained 300 fear points. Congratulations, host, you gain 0.1 fear points. Congratulations, host, you gain 0.1 fear points. Congratulations, host, you gain 0.1 fear points. When the three people in front of me had completely fainted, system messages gushed out like a tide. System, this is such a ripoff. Scaring one person unconscious gave 100, but scaring people through the screen, you only give 0.1. While I complained, I looked at the fear points section on the system page. It was currently increasing at a rate of 3 fear points per second. 1 second ago, it was still 9,630. The next second, it became 9,627. There's still a long way to go until the debt is cleared. The deceptive system quietly cannot match the basis. I took a step forward, planning to take out Jiahao's phone to contact the production team. Because the skin suit was wrapped around my body, I needed to remove the skin suit to get out my own phone. I didn't know how many cameras around me were filming me. Rashly removing the skin suit, and letting everyone in the live stream discover that the skin suit on me suddenly disappeared. Wouldn't that lead to 3 consecutive episodes of Approaching Science? On the other hand, I also wanted to collect some more fear points from the viewers in the live stream. Inside the broadcast van, the director was huddled in a blanket, with one eye peeking out at the image on the screen in front of him. The director seemed to be in trouble. That comedian seemed to have disappeared. The staff kept switching cameras, but still couldn't find my figure. Hearing the staff's words, the director, huddled in the blanket, shivered. Just as he poked his head out, a trembling voice came, "This is bad." He moved again. In just an instant, the director who had just poked his head out, pulled it back in. Cut the live stream. Cut the live stream. At the director's urgent command, the staff quickly cut it off. On the screens of tens of thousands of viewers, the screen went black. In the live stream chat, the old man's face appeared in everyone's minds. "My phone, Dad, look at the mess you've made. Why did you randomly recommend this live stream to me?" "No, wait, I found a brilliant idea. This old man is only one person. That means he can only target one person at a time. If I spread the audio and let more people hear it, wouldn't I be able to live one more time? Holy crap, you're a genius. For a time, that fake Weibo post I edited was frantically reposted by netizens. Some netizens even, in order to let good people run far away to kill. The audio has already been uploaded to the internet. Meanwhile, I had successfully gotten Jiahao's phone and used the fingerprint unlock to make a call. While waiting for the call to be answered, I went to the door. After all, Jiahao had peed in the room. The smell in the air was indescribable. Looking at the door in front of me, only half of it remained. A rather bored person tapping on diplomas. In the distant broadcast van, after everyone cut off the live stream, it fell into silence. No one dared to speak. Just as everyone was about to call the police, the program team's landline phone rang. A staff member subconsciously answered the phone. Just as they were about to speak and ask, but the next moment, a muffled knocking sound came from the phone. Humph, he immediately hung up the phone. Before the staff member could even speak, a celebratory sound came from under the covers, setting off an alarm. Drive. Now, immediately, right away, to the police station. I looked at the police in front of me and answered truthfully. Tell the people in your production crew, in the future, when calling the police, you must explain the situation clearly. What the hell, murder? A murderer made us dispatch. Mobilize dozens of people. At this point, Officer Hat looked at my innocent, naive, and rather foolish expression. Then said, "It's nothing. You can go back now." Hearing Officer Hat's words, I felt a huge relief. Often, I exhaled a mouthful of stale air, stood up, and left the interrogation room. Just 2 hours ago, Fenchman village. The village entrance was very lively. The pew-pew-pew sound carried for several miles. Originally, I was still depressed about not being able to get through to the program team. Couldn't figure out what the program team was up to. The next moment, I understood. Damn the gunpowder. Dozens of formidable spearmen, officer hats, armed with live ammunition, surrounded the village. Then, because I was present, the only sober person was brought back to give a statement. As for the other 3 people, they are still sleeping in the hospital. I'm really sorry, Brother Jiang. We really didn't expect that. You were so invested in this program. The director looked at me apologetically, wringing his hands in frustration. Before I could speak, the director continued, "Your reward. I've already arranged for staff to transfer it to your card." Just as the director finished speaking, on my phone, I suddenly received a transfer of 1 million yuan. Let's consider that part as making friends. In the future, when filming, teacher, please consider our crew. Hearing the director's words, I nodded. Led by the staff, I got into a special car and left the police station. The next day, the outsiders. Old Wu from the crew looked at the news on his phone, frantically suppressing his smirk. Damn it, finally, one of the double hairs has been sent away. Although extremely excited internally, Old Wu still pretended to be in a mood to demand an explanation. He dialed Liang's number. "I lent you 3 actors, and all 3 fainted. 2 of them are ruined. How am I supposed to film like this?" Today was the day for the outsiders to start filming. Now look, the one playing the ghost was scared unconscious, and both the male and female leads are ruined. Listening to Old Wu's angry roar on the phone, Li Yang felt a bit awkward. After all, when he previously borrowed these actors, he had puffed out his chest and guaranteed that he would safely return them the next day, without delaying their crew's filming. But now, what they are filming involves 4 people and 3 worlds. And these 3 all ended up in the hospital. Only the one playing the ghost. Old Wu, I won't pretend anymore. Actually, I have a ghostly film emperor on my side to play the ghost role. After Li Yang finished speaking, Old Wu was stunned. His main purpose for calling today was actually to give those agents an explanation. Now Li Yang says he has a ghostly film emperor on his side. Are you kidding me? If you have a ghostly film emperor, why would you borrow people from me? How about this? Give me an address. I'll contact the film emperor right away and have him go find you. You'll know once you see him." After speaking, Liang quickly hung up the phone. He immediately called me. Meanwhile, inside a dilapidated rented room in Xiaokang City, I lay on the bed, looking at the 2,000 fear points in front of me, shaking my head slightly in disdain. It still has to be participating in the show's filming. But today, the growth rate of fear points had clearly slowed down. It only increased by over 7,000 in one night. Hajime Onamboku rhythm. Hearing the phone ringtone coming from my ear, I subconsciously answered the phone. Before I could speak, Li Yang on the other end of the phone anxiously shouted, "Teacher Zhang, my friend has a scene, are you taking it?" How uncanny. Hearing Li Yang's words, I instantly sat up from the bed. I was really sleepy, and someone delivered a pillow. Just when I was saying the fear value growth was slowing down, the next second, a job came. "Okay, Teacher Zhang, where are you? We'll come pick you up." "No need, I'll go myself." Within a few seconds, Li Yang sent me the location of the film crew. "The west suburb, isn't that near my home?" I got up and tidied myself up. I then set off for the west suburb. As its name suggests, Xiaokang is a western suburb. However, most of them are old, dilapidated residential areas. The rent is relatively cheap, attracting many young people working in Xiaokang City. However, it is also the most chaotic area in Xiaokang City. Every year, a large number of young people commit suicide in rented rooms. According to the phone address, I arrived in front of Xingfu Residential Area. Xingfu Residential Area, due to its long establishment time, so the overall style is decades old. There are no elevators. The security bars on the windows were rusty. The windows of every household had a yellowish tint. "Everyone, line up. There are many people interviewing today. Let's go one by one." In the hallway, a boy holding a megaphone shouted at the crowd. After hearing the boy's words, the crowd, they very consciously formed a long queue. The eerie actors stood on the left. Those intending to audition for the male and female leads stood on the right. After the man with the megaphone finished shouting, everyone was very consciously moved towards the left. As for the right side, not a single person was present. Everyone knew very well in their hearts that the male and female leads for films like these are basically pre-selected. What decent person would fairly compete with you? They might tell you there are auditions for the male and female leads, but you can't take it seriously. On the other hand, the eerie actors are different. Generally, the eerie roles are villain characters. Their deaths are tragic, and their methods of death are even beyond your imagination. Although they hold a significant position in the show, but they are basically dead-end roles. Most of them are just there for the male and female leads' romantic scenes. Not many big-name actors would be willing to participate. They can still get a piece of this meat soup. Holy crap, why is it in this neighborhood? If I had known it was in this neighborhood, I should have rejected the company's arrangement. Is there any inside information about this neighborhood? Bro, share it. You don't even know this? The buzz about Xiaokang was only temporary. You don't even know about Happy Neighborhood? It's said that several people die here every year. No matter what, the pay for this film is indeed very high. It's 2 million. No matter what, I have to go for it. After all, there are so many people here. Even if there really are ghosts, can they actually come out? Listening to the crowd's discussions, Zhang Zi looked at the Happy Neighborhood before him, feeling a rush of emotions. Back when he was just starting out, he rented a place in Happy Neighborhood. A 3-bedroom, 1 living room apartment for 300 a month. Water and electricity were all free. Floating or not, what's that about? Wasn't that his roommate? It's just that later, due to certain reasons, Zhang Zi moved out of the neighborhood. At the same time, in a room on the 4th floor, Old Wu looked at the people before him, his brows tightly furrowed, muttering, "No, no. No. Can't even knock on a door properly." There's no sense of oppressive horror at all. After eliminating the few people in front of him, Old Wu rubbed his temples. A look of helplessness was on his face. The next batch sighed deeply. Old Wu waved his hand at the people in front of him. After a brief moment, 5 more people entered from outside the door. At this moment, downstairs in the residential area. Xianxia has so many demands just to knock on a door. Anyone who didn't know would think he was looking for the male and female leads. He deserved not to be liked. As batch after batch of people were eliminated, the crowd standing outside couldn't help but complain. Listening to everyone's complaints, Xianxia was startled. He was familiar with this knocking job. Ever since he wore the knocking ghost's costume a few times, Xianxia could be said to be skilled at every door he encountered. Now, this director named Old Wu, the test content for selecting actors for eerie roles, was actually knocking on the door. As Xianxia pondered how he should knock today, he realized the queue in front of him was rapidly shortening. Soon it was Xianxia's turn. Today, for selecting eerie actors, I have only one requirement. Saying this, Old Wu paused, then pointed to the door, and then said, "Our crew needs to film the person outside the door. The sound of knocking will run through the entire play. So your task today is to knock on the door. If the sound satisfies me, you pass. I'll be the judge." As soon as Old Wu finished speaking, in the queue, a boy wearing overalls with a middle-parted hairstyle spoke up. The boy shrugged slyly, scanned the surroundings. "For today's role, I want you all to go home." After speaking, the boy walked towards the door without looking back. After the boy in overalls left, the 4 contestants present, except for Xianxia, who looked completely unconcerned. The others all looked as if they were facing a formidable enemy. It was actually him. It seems this scene can't be acted out today. Damn it. This kid, when he debuted, relied on his iron fan technique. He relied on crashing through doors. Now they're asking him to knock on one. Isn't it just a horny old man encountering a helpless young girl? I think we can go home now. Just as everyone was conversing, a knock sounded on the door. Dong 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 dong. If one were to carefully distinguish, they would find that the interval between each sound was almost identical, flawless. As the third knock sounded, the entire room fell into silence. A moment later, the door opened. The man in the tank top slowly pushed the door open. As the door creaked open, the atmosphere on set became oppressive. Even Old Wu, usually so jovial, now looked at the door with a serious expression. He's gotten into character, director, he's gotten into character. It seems this role has found its master. At this moment, the 3 people and the surrounding staff, after seeing Old Wu's expression, subconsciously had this thought in their minds. Not until the man in the tank top entered the room did the atmosphere on set somewhat ease. "Director, did I pass?" The man in the tank top smoothed back his hair, a wicked, charming smile appearing on his face. Seeing the man in the tank top's appearance, Old Wu's mouth twitched. What the hell? The man in the tank top was confused. Old Wu looked at the man in the tank top, only feeling that 100,000 grass mud horses galloped through his mind. Aside from the unsettling feeling the knocking gave him, Old Wu would absolutely not have admitted this person. It was hard enough to send one out. No, to send a Jiahao in. Now another man in a tank top comes along. Isn't this going to be the death of him? And the sound of his knocking made Old Wu's head spin with anger. Come on, tell me, what's the age of this door? Damn it, it's older than you. How did you knock it like this? So incredibly crisp. Anyone who didn't know would think it was a new door. Old Wu pointed at the door, then looked at the man in the tank top, couldn't help but scold him, then sighed helplessly. Next. The next one heard Old Wu's reprimand. At this moment, several contestants pushed each other, back and forth, clearly not wanting to be the next one to make a fool of themselves. Looking at the people in front of him, Old Wu helplessly said, "If you don't want to knock, you can leave now. Let's not waste each other's time." "I'll try," I said. I took a step forward and smiled at everyone. Then I walked towards the door. Damn, whose family is this person from? So capable, how come I don't recognize him? I haven't seen him either. Our supernatural acting community doesn't seem to have such a prominent figure. I think I've seen him in a movie. But that movie seemed to be a comedy. Hearing this remark, everyone's faces showed strange expressions. A comedy actor came to audition for a horror role? What's going on? Does he understand the nuances of the supernatural? Hearing the 4 people's words, the staff member also frowned. Just as he was about to speak, He was interrupted by old Wu's wave of the hand. The next moment, a dong 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 knocking sound came from inside the room. The first two knocks were rapid, while the last one was gentle. But if one listened carefully, it felt as if the second set of knocks seamlessly connected to the previous one. It unexpectedly gave people the impression that this door was being pried open from all sides. It felt completely without pattern, yet for some reason, there was always a feeling of dread. Sunlight from outside the door filtered into the room through the yellowish glass, casting an eerie color over the entire room. Coupled with this knocking sound, dull yet distinct, it felt as if it was knocking directly on everyone's hearts. In just a moment, everyone felt cold sweat breaking out on their backs. If there had been only one of them in the room, he would have definitely chosen to leave through the window, rather than opening the door and running. Even though this was the 4th floor. Yes, the door opened. It didn't open quickly, but it was unusually eerie. Seeing the open door, everyone held their breath, staring intently at the door, until everyone saw Xianxia's innocent, blushing face before they could finally breathe a sigh of relief. Old Wu's expression was feverish at this moment, his eyes shining as he looked at Xianxia like a sect elder discovering a talented rogue cultivator. Did you hear that? That is a knocking sound. That is the knocking sound I envisioned. At this moment, everyone's expressions were a sight to behold. Their gazes towards Xianxia were full of incomprehension. What the hell? Is this guy a comedian? If he's a comedian, then what are we? Are we just the red-nosed clowns in a circus? Aren't comedians supposed to be brilliant and bring joy to people? What's with this oppressive atmosphere? Anyone who didn't know would think there was a thug outside the door. In the education they had received over 20 years, there was no concept of ghosts. In their view, those were all illusory and unreal. Even if they automatically imagined the worst-case scenario, it would just be a thug standing at their doorstep. Moreover, in recent years' supernatural films, wasn't it always revealed to be man-made in the end? Xianxia, right? Old Wu excitedly stood up and walked to Xianxia. Xianxia nodded blankly. Yes. You must come to our crew to act. The eerie knocking. Old Wu's expression was excited. He grabbed Xianxia's hand, and at the same time, he said to the staff behind him, "Tell those people downstairs to leave. I've already found the right actor." Teacher Zhang, the first act of our scene starts tonight. Do you think you need to rest first? Old Wu said. I closed the script in my hand. I shook my head. No need. Are there any requirements for filming makeup? Hearing my question, Old Wu pondered for a moment. For this scene, they plan to use a progressive approach. First, create the atmosphere through knocking, then have the male and female leads open the door. After being scared, they recall. Not until 30 minutes later will they return to the present time and begin to resolve the supernatural incident. They really hadn't thought of the eerie styling. After all, they could just have the actors act out being scared. But since I asked this way, he must have his own ideas. It must be to restore the most realistic feeling. This is indeed what you call professional. No wonder he's an actor he's satisfied with. At this moment, the eerie film Emperor recommended by Li Yang had already been completely forgotten by Old Wu. He never imagined that the person in front of him was the one Li Yang strongly recommended. Teacher Zhang, do you want to put on some makeup before going on? I nodded at Old Wu's question. Do we have any requirements for the knocking ghosts makeup? There aren't any requirements. After all, ghosts are invisible and intangible. They rarely appear in person, Old Wu replied. Hearing Old Wu's words, I scratched my head. Then I spoke. Then can I prepare my own makeup? I have a set of makeup that I quite like. How troublesome is makeup? There are ready-made prosthetics directly in the system space. And compared to makeup skills, the prosthetics given by the system are miles ahead. What's more, Xianxia's purpose in participating in this scene is to scare the audience. If he can even scare the actors, wouldn't that be killing two birds with one stone? Ha ha ha. Teacher Zhang, since you have makeup you like, then use it. If it's not quite suitable later, we might need to make some changes. Old Wu laughed heartily twice, and patted Xianxia's shoulder. He wouldn't just because I liked it, decide on that set of makeup. After all, This was a supernatural film. His supernatural film was going to break through the domestic market. The current supernatural market, in the end, always turned out to be man-made. He wanted to make an ultimate supernatural film, so that after the audience finishes watching, the kind where they wouldn't dare go to the bathroom at night. Even if it ultimately cannot be released in mainland China, he'd be okay with releasing it in a limited capacity. Then I'll come back when we're filming tonight. His scenes today are very simple. He doesn't need to speak. He just needs to knock on the door. In the entire show, his lines don't even amount to 500 words. So there's no need to memorize lines at all. He can remember them with just a quick glance. After exchanging a few pleasantries, I left the set and went home to rest. As night fell, the crew outside became busy. The entire Xingfu residential area was brightly lit at this moment. Today, I'm acting opposite a comedian. Xiao looked in the mirror, very surprised. Her eyeliner had been drawn all the way to her temples. The agent carefully wiped away the excess eyeliner and said, "That's right. This matter has spread throughout the entire crew. Because we're filming a supernatural horror movie, the lead actor doesn't need heavy makeup. Usually, they can choose to do their own makeup. How am I supposed to act opposite a comedian? It's so annoying. I have to carry the whole scene." Xiao looked disgusted. The agent comforted her, "All right, Xiao, I know your acting is the best. That disgusting comedian. Just stick to your own lane. Why are you making trouble for no reason? And I have to cover for him." Xiao frowned, the disgust on her face growing deeper. As everyone finished getting ready, the first scene outside began filming. This scene depicts the female lead's dream. This time, to recreate the most authentic state, allowing the camera operators to choose. Before filming began, the director arranged for staff to install over 70 cameras in the room. This wasn't the director's limit, but rather that only so many could be installed in the entire room. Any more cameras would appear in the field of view of other cameras, leading to continuity errors. As the director shouted action, Xiao instantly got into character. In the dimly lit room, Xiao continuously tidied up the house. But every now and then, strange things would happen. For example, the TV would suddenly turn on, the refrigerator would open, and Jiang Zi's task of knocking on the door was to begin when he heard the sound of shattering porcelain from inside the room. The plate on the cabinet, after the mechanism was pressed in the prop room, then slid to the floor. Xiao rushed over with a bewildered expression. After seeing the shattered porcelain on the floor, she was about to clean it up, when the next moment, a dull, yet clear knocking sound suddenly came from outside the door. Thump 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 thump. After hearing the knocking sound from outside the door, Xiao stopped what she was doing. At the same time, a trace of displeasure flashed across her face, but it was instantly reined in. She couldn't help but inwardly grumble a few words. What a lousy actor. With this knocking sound, even my great-uncle would knock better than him. Immediately, I still have to pretend to be scared and bail him out. Just thinking about it makes me sick. Who is it coming? Xiao wiped her hands twice on her apron, and got up to walk towards the door. But for some reason, as Xiao approached the door, she always felt waves of fear coming from deep within her heart. Her heartbeat kept rising. Thump 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 thump. At this moment, the knocking sound from outside the door continued, each knock duller than the last. She unconsciously started counting the knocks. 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, 4. Did I count wrong? Why knock 4 times in one rhythm? Isn't it always 3 times? The more she thought, the greater Xiao's unease grew. Constantly appearing in her mind was that sentence the adults used to say back then: humans only knock 3 times. Only ghosts knock 4 times. At this moment, old Wu downstairs listened to the sounds coming from the monitor. He looked at the actor's reaction again. He couldn't help but praise, "Excellent. That's the feeling. Listen to how stifling that knocking sound is. And look at how authentic Gao Xiao's acting is." He felt as helpless as a frightened lamb. Well, naturally, Xiao is going to be the next best actor. The agent lifted his chin with considerable pride. Meanwhile, Gao Xiao, After reaching the door, felt his blood run cold. He was completely paralyzed. The hairs on his body stood on end, goosebumps erupted all over him. Just as Gao Xiaoxiao's nerves were stretched to their limit, the knocking stopped. What followed was the creaking, groaning sound of the door panels rubbing. Gao Xiaoxiao was extremely nervous at this moment. After all, he was the only one in the room. If he hadn't known beforehand that this was filming, he guessed his emotions might truly have broken down. It was, after all, the dead of night, and in happy community, no less. Since this community opened, an unknown number of people had died there. As the door slowly opened, Gao Xiaoxiao's gaze was fixed on the gap outside the door. The door opened. Outside the door was not the comedian his agent had shown him, but an old man. An old man whose body was covered in black age spots. A piercing scream rang out. Downstairs, old Wu, after hearing Gao Xiaoxiao's scream, and seeing his expression in the camera, stood up excitedly. Yes, that's the expression. That's the feeling. Look, this is called acting. Gao Xiaoxiao now looks like he's seen a real ghost. Help! Help! Gao Xiaoxiao plopped down onto the ground, his hands constantly clawing at the ground behind him. His face was pale, his eyes fixed on the old man in front of him, not daring to avert his gaze. Fearing that the moment he looked away, this old man would suddenly appear behind her. Meanwhile, the crowd downstairs, at this moment, still hadn't realized the seriousness of the situation. They were still praising Gao Xiaoxiao's superb acting skills and dancing. Gao Xiaoxiao's condition seems a bit off, doesn't it? A staff member, looking at Gao Xiaoxiao through the camera, said. Old Wu waved his hand and explained, "What do you know? This is called professionalism. As long as the director doesn't call cut, she will keep acting." After speaking, old Wu checked the recording time of the current take. Once he felt enough time had passed, he took out his walkie-talkie and shouted, "Cut!" Following old Wu's command, everyone present was about to pack up their things, preparing for the next scene's shoot. But Gao Xiaoxiao in the video was still struggling non-stop on the ground. Seeing this, everyone was stunned. Even old Wu, who had just finished showing off, was completely bewildered at this moment. What's going on? So deeply immersed in the role. Thinking this, old Wu tentatively shouted cut again. But Gao Xiaoxiao still didn't stop her movements. What's going on? Nothing bad happened, did it? The agent looked anxious. Old Wu, on the other hand, was frowning deeply at this moment, staring intently at the screen in front of him. 2 seconds later, an old man walked into the room. Gao Xiaoxiao, perhaps because she was too deeply immersed in the role and overly exhausted, simply lay down on the floor and fell asleep. After everyone saw the old man in the camera, they all gasped, "Holy crap! Who is this? Is that even a person?" It's the end of the world. I heard this neighborhood was creepy a long time ago. We didn't actually run into a ghost, did we? Thankfully, we didn't go up to investigate the situation earlier. It's over. Xiao, you must be alright. Otherwise, this old lady will lose her job. As for old Wu, after seeing the old man in the camera, his entire brain went into shutdown mode. That's not right. Wasn't the eerie actor Zhang Zi? What's with this old man? Could it be Zhang Zi in makeup? Impossible. Zhang Zi, such a pure and innocent person, how could he put on such a ghastly makeup? Director Miss Gao seems to have fainted. My voice came out from the speakers. Hearing the familiar tone, old Wu instantly reacted. Damn it, it really is Zhang Zi. What's with his makeup? Is this guy really human? After shouting once, Zhang Zi, who was inside the room, came to the window, and greeted the crowd downstairs again. After hearing the footsteps of the staff coming from the corridor, he then opened the system to check the increase in fear points. Congratulations, host, you have gained 100 fear points. Congratulations, host, you have gained fear points. Congratulations, host, you have gained fear points. Shouldn't it be 0-1? How did it become 1 again? Could it be that the increase in fear points is related to the distance of the frightened person? Before he had time to think further, the staff had already arrived upstairs. Looking at Gao Xiaoxiao lying on the floor, and glancing at Zhang Zi by the window out of the corner of their eyes, everyone felt a chill down their spines. They dared not linger there for too long. The crowd quickly lifted Gao Xiao onto a stretcher, and turned to run. However, there was still one brave staff member who secretly took a photo of Jiang Zi at that moment. After everyone left, Jiang Zi also slowly walked downstairs. "Teacher Jiang," old Wu asked, looking at Jiang Zi in the stairwell. I smiled. The wrinkles on the skin suit instantly bunched up, giving a creepy feeling. "What's wrong?" "The dance is fine." "Ha ha ha, I didn't expect. Teacher Jiang's makeup skills are actually so superb," old Wu replied awkwardly. Although old Wu tried his best to appear enthusiastic, his body instinctively took 2 steps back. Old Wu looked at Jiang Zi and said, "Teacher Jiang, today's filming is over. If you have nothing else, you can go back and rest." I nodded. Since today's scenes have already been shot, there's no need to stay on set anymore. And looking at Gao Xiao's current state, not only are her scenes for today finished, but it's likely the entire crew won't be able to shoot today. If I don't leave now, do I want to stay for a late night snack? Not to mention I have important things to do today. Even if I didn't, Jiang Zi always kept the no overtime principle in mind. Leaving the set and returning home, Jiang Zi opened Weibo again. The account named Thunderbolt King was reactivated by Jiang Zi. This account, previously, he used to write short scary stories. But later, because netizens didn't buy into it at all, he simply left it in the backend to gather dust. Now that the image of the knocking ghost has been recognized by the public, now is the perfect time to strike while the iron is hot. Opening the backend, private messages had already flooded in from everyone. Most were asking if I was supervising, and if there were any countermeasures. However, I didn't reply to anyone's private messages, but instead edited and sent out a post. The post was very simple, with only 3 words, "He's here." Afterwards, I turned off my phone and lay down on the bed. Meanwhile, within Happiness Community, everyone was busy packing up props. People from the hospital had just come and taken Gao Xiao away, stating with certainty that she wouldn't wake up today. How can you shoot a drama without a female lead? Old Wu simply changed the shooting schedule to tomorrow. After everything was packed up, a staff member, having some free time, looked at their phone. The secretly taken photo from earlier was displayed on the phone screen. Looking at me in the screen, for some reason, the staff member felt a chill down their neck. "Let's record this beautiful life," the staff member said, while uploading the secretly taken photo to Douyin, TikTok. For a time, the internet erupted in a frenzy. My post, in an almost frantic manner, saw its popularity surge wildly. It quickly climbed to the top of Weibo's trending topics. Because the post I edited only had 3 words, many people looked at this sudden post with some confusion. But the most common comments under the post were inquiries. "What is all this about? What exactly happened? I'm confused by this whole situation." "Brother, go check the original post as last thread and you'll know." Suddenly, the views on my last post surged. However, after everyone finished reading that post, they still remained skeptical. Until a photo appeared in my comment section. The photo showed an old man who seemed unhappy with something. At this moment, he was standing by the window, looking downstairs. The lights in the room were dim and yellow. The darkness outside made the photo a bit blurry, but the blurry photo intensified the eerie atmosphere. The next day, at dawn, Jiang Zi lay on the bed and slowly opened his eyes. He didn't have a nightmare today. He subconsciously opened the system page to check his debt situation. Current fear value, 5,710. Holy crap. Seeing the fear value displayed on the system page, Jiang Zi suddenly got up and rubbed his eyes. After confirming that the fear value before him was real, Jiang Zi's heart was filled with mixed emotions. Finally, the debt was paid off. Until the next fear value repayment date, there were still 20 days. Within this period, he could completely accumulate enough fear value. In other words, he finally wouldn't have to face the harassment of the knocking ghost. The more he thought about it, the more excited Jiang Zi became. He felt his body lighten considerably. After a quick wash-up, Jiang Zi began preparing for today's filming work. As for the film crew, who had originally planned to start filming the second scene, the old house, in the evening. After receiving the news of Gao Xiaoxiao's awakening, they temporarily decided to film the third scene first, and then make up for the second scene in the evening. Today's filming content was very simple. It was just for the male and female leads to meet, and discuss the strange things that happened yesterday. Everything progressed very smoothly. No more unexpected problems occurred. In just one morning, they completed filming scenes 3 to 7. As night fell, after a full day of filming, Gao Xiaoxiao felt utterly exhausted. But as soon as he thought of having to act opposite last night's comedian again, his whole body couldn't stop trembling. The town's speed limit soared at 12:30 a.m. Everything was ready. Gao Xiaoxiao's entire face was devoid of color at this moment. Her eyes darted around uneasily. After arriving on the 4th floor, the events of yesterday reappeared in Gao Xiaoxiao's mind. Now he had developed an immense psychological trauma towards this room. Director, I'm leaving immediately. Will I still run into that comedian? Gao Xiaoxiao, with a sobbing voice, looked downstairs. Seeing Gao Xiaoxiao in this state, Zhizhixao, standing nearby, raised an eyebrow. She didn't know how Gao Xiaoxiao could have been scared into such a state. Because the original script wasn't like this, their filming times were different. Zhizhixao was supposed to start her first scene during the day. So yesterday, Zhizhixao didn't know what happened on set. She only knew that the eerie actor on the crew performed very well. Today, the director decided to add more scenes for that actor, having the female lead meet the male lead after escaping the room, and then giving the eerie character a close-up shot. One must know, changing scenes like this is a big taboo in film production. Even a small change could affect the direction of the latter half of the script. And now, the director's changes and Gao Xiaoxiao's performance made Zhizhixao a bit curious for a moment. Who exactly was that eerie actor? Don't worry, Teacher Zhang. For my scene, you won't encounter him downstairs. Old Wu offered a word of comfort. Hearing Old Wu's words, Gao Xiaoxiao finally felt relieved. As Gao Xiaoxiao lay on the bed, Old Wu called out action. The person outside the door, Act 2, officially began filming. Gao Xiaoxiao, lying on the bed, merely lay there with her eyes closed. The image of it breaking would continuously appear before his eyes. This caused him, covered by the quilt, to be drenched in sweat. After hearing X, Gao Xiaoxiao suddenly opened her eyes. Sweat beads continuously slid down his face. After sitting on the bed and hesitating for a moment, the unease on her face was practically overflowing from the screen. After a short while, he quickly walked towards the door. At the same time, he took out his phone and dialed the male lead's number. The subsequent shot showed the male lead quickly rushing over after receiving the call. The two met at the entrance of the residential complex. And in this scene's shot, the male lead was comforting the female lead, while his peripheral vision caught sight of something eerie. The eerie thing disappeared. The male lead wondered what was wrong with Xiaoxiao. Did you have a nightmare? Zhizhixao gently stroked Gao Xiaoxiao's head and softly asked. At this moment, Gao Xiaoxiao, thinking of him nearby, couldn't stop trembling all over. It could be said that this added a natural touch to her acting. Zhizhixao, I dreamed of him. He was knocking on the door. Gao Xiaoxiao's face was ashen. Her entire body was shaking. Zhizhixao smiled slightly, and hugged Gao Xiaoxiao tightly. His gaze went to the spot the director had previously requested. Just as he was about to speak comforting words, he saw him reveal half his body in the distant alley. The streetlights shone on his head. And at this moment, a stray dog nearby, upon seeing Zhang Zi, began barking at him. A stray cat on the trash can arched its back, and all its fur stood on end. Go, 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 go. Zhizhixao trembled all over, pointing at him standing in the distance. His mouth was wide open, but he couldn't utter a complete sentence. Seeing Zhizhixao's reaction, Gao Xiaoxiao subconsciously turned her head. After seeing Zhang Zi again, her legs gave out, and she collapsed onto the ground. Seeing their reactions, Old Wu shouted angrily, "What are you two doing? Such a brilliant shot, and you ruined it just like that." After speaking, Old Wu let out a long sigh and said, again, "DD director, there's a ghost." There's a ghost. Xianxia was agitated at this moment, continuously pointing at the distant alley. Old Wu followed the direction of Xiao's finger. His gaze had just shifted to the center when he quickly pulled it back. A ghost. What ghost? That's your colleague. Hearing Old Wu's words, Xiao subconsciously swallowed hard. He looked towards me in the alley. I naturally heard everyone's voices. After seeing Xiao's gaze, I smiled at Xiao very considerately, and waved at the same time. After seeing my actions, a chill ran down Xiao's neck. His life flashed before his eyes in bursts. He seemed to see his great-grandmother, who had been dead for over 10 years, continuously waving at him. The person outside the door. Act 2, Part 2. That's it for this scene. Old Wu paused. It was clearly to give the two actors a moment to recover. After a moment, he continued, action. After hearing Old Wu's previous words, the two actors quickly adjusted their state. After action was called out, the two of them started acting again. However, this time Xiao didn't perform well. He seemed several years younger, giving off that impression. Then came the third take, the fourth take, and then 7 takes in a row. The two actors' spirits became more and more sluggish. Their facial expressions constantly twitched. Seeing this, Old Wu couldn't help but sigh. He was just about to get up and come talk to me, but after thinking of my appearance, Old Wu very consciously sat back down. He shouted towards the alley, Teacher Zhang, you don't need to stand there anymore. I'll have post-production edit this part out. Your filming task for today is finished. After Old Wu finished speaking, I couldn't help but wonder, it's over just like that? I haven't even done anything yet. No wonder they say making money from the supernatural is easy. Day after day, I don't have to do anything. One production, and 2 million is in my hand. Returning home, I quickly opened the system panel to check the fear value. Current fear value, 9,830. Nice. Only 170 more needed. Next month's fear value will be fully collected. For now, I can sleep soundly. As my fear value was about to break through the 10,000 mark, I felt very relaxed. Lying on the bed. Soon, a wave of drowsiness washed over me. Just as I was half asleep, half awake, I seemed to hear the system's notification sound, ding. Congratulations, host, your fear value has reached 10,000. Successfully unlocked the first dream of your life. I looked at the mirror in front of me, feeling a bit unnerved. Subconsciously, I thought it was the knocking ghost again. But then I thought, I still had 10,000 fear value. How could that unlucky fellow possibly run into my dream again? I raised my head and looked at the mirror. I saw my reflection in the mirror had dark circles under its eyes. The whites of its eyes were bloodshot, giving off an extremely haggard impression. Subconsciously, I leaned closer to the mirror. But my reflection in the mirror remained standing still. It didn't move. I immediately noticed something was wrong. I quickly took a step back. After several days of training from the knocking ghost, at this moment, my resistance to these strange occurrences had reached a height unattainable by ordinary people. What is it? I stared warily at my reflection in the mirror. The next moment, my reflection in the mirror moved. In an extremely slow manner, it slowly began to imitate my previous actions, propping its hands on the wash basin, and then leaning back. And as time went on, my reflection in the mirror moved faster and faster. Like a clumsy, inferior actor, constantly imitating my movements. For some reason, a feeling of unease rose from the depths of my heart. I always felt that when the actions of that thing in the mirror became identical to my own, something unimaginable would happen. Thinking of this, my mind raced. As the thing in the mirror was about to perfectly imitate my appearance, I quickly pulled out my hand, and made a scissors gesture towards the mirror. Seeing my action, the thing in the mirror clearly paused for a moment. Then it started to imitate again. Scissors turned into rock. Rock turned into paper. My fingers were moving so fast to change to scissors that they almost left after images. The 3 hand gestures were constantly changing and unpredictable. The thing in the mirror, whether its movements, or the expression on my face, all were indistinguishable from me. Only my hand gesture. I don't know how much time passed. The hand gestures of us both finally matched. Seeing this, my heart skipped a beat. Just as I was about to speak, I felt a wave of dizziness wash over me. When I opened my eyes again, I was still standing in front of the mirror. Only the mirror emitted a faint light, while everything around me was pitch black. And the ghoul, bathed in light, gave me a sinister smile. Opened the bathroom door and left. Startled, I suddenly sat up. My body was already drenched in sweat. The ticking sound of a clock continuously echoed in my ears. System, open the system panel. I roared angrily. And I was absolutely certain this dream today was definitely related to the system. Just before I fell asleep, I vaguely heard sounds coming from the system. As the saying goes, people who are about to fall asleep simply won't care about what's happening around them. And I was no exception. But now, because I didn't heed the damned system's prompt, it made me have another nightmare. As the system panel appeared before my eyes, the original entity in the space multiplied from 1 to 2. The mirror ghost is skilled at imitating anyone. Renewal date, September 10, 2025. Amazing. I'm speechless. Making things difficult for me. Can't I uninstall it? System, I don't really want this system. You could just replace it with a new one. Isn't that what's popular now? No matter how much I complained, the system, however, was slow to respond. My words were as if they didn't exist at all. Seeing the system had no reaction, I cursed again. Then I lay back down on the bed and went to sleep. Early the next morning, I got out of bed early because being a ghost had been too easy these past few days, which led to every day sleep time exceeded 13 hours, leaving me with no sleepiness at all. Secondly, it's because I'm no longer burdened by just one debt, but two. After taking care of the knocking ghost on the left, I have to support the mirror ghost on the right. It's like those who are paying off a mortgage while renting a house, working while renovating, borrowing money to buy a car while getting married. And now they've found a partner, have a little baby, becoming the most driven man and workhorse. Life is truly becoming more promising. Before arriving at Happy Community, I put on the knocking ghost skin suit and entered the room. As soon as I entered the community, the surrounding staff immediately kept their distance. Although they had seen me in this appearance many times, upon seeing it again, they still couldn't help but feel worried. And unlike at night, seeing Xianxia at night, one only felt that the surrounding environment made him seem too terrifying. But now, with sunlight hitting my face, on my grayish-brown skin, the purplish-black wet spots were dull, as if deeply branded into the skin. If one didn't know, they might think it was an old man who had been lying in the morgue for over 10 days, suddenly reanimated. Teacher Zhang is here. Old Wu, seeing me standing at the door, enthusiastically greeted me. But he didn't step forward. I asked with a smile, when do we start filming today? Now, Old Wu replied. Following Old Wu's directions, everyone quickly prepared the filming props. Everything was ready. When Old Wu shouted action, the male and female leads on the 4th floor began filming. In the dimly lit room, two people frantically searched for things. After a while, the two, rummaging through everything, finally in a certain corner, found a dusty combination lockbox. Just as they were about to open it, the door knocked. Knock, 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 knock. After hearing this knocking sound, Gao Xiao's face instantly turned ashen. Xiao Gang wanted to ask why, but only heard Gao Xiao tremble and say, he's here again. After hearing Gao Xiao's words, Ji Xiao's expression instantly lost control. He looked completely flustered. Upon seeing Ji Xiao's look, Old Wu shouted to everyone. Upon hearing the director's voice, I stopped knocking on the door. The emotions of the two people inside finally calmed down a bit. Ji Xiao, what are you doing? You're the male lead, how can you be scared? You've met Teacher Zhang so many times, and still haven't developed immunity? Look at me. As Old Wu said this, in his mind, the image of me after putting on makeup appeared. He subconsciously swallowed. But he still bit the bullet and said, look, everyone, every time I see Teacher Zhang, I greet him enthusiastically. When have I ever been scared? Facing Old Wu's words, the two people in the room on the 4th floor recalled the past 2 days, Old Wu's behavior after encountering me. A black line involuntarily appeared on their foreheads, but they dared not speak out in anger. Under Old Wu's urging, the two began to perform again. But my knocking sound seemed to bring them the most primal fear. Every time they heard knocking from outside the door, the two couldn't help but shiver. Left with no choice, Old Wu could only prioritize filming my part. Using the method of inserting shots, my appearance scenes were inserted into the film. This approach, indeed, elevated the film's progress by several levels. In just a few days, all the scenes were filmed. All that remained was waiting for post-production editing. After hearing everyone in the film crew shout "It's a wrap," Old Wu nodded in satisfaction. He was utterly convinced in his heart that his movie would definitely, among Dragon Kingdom's supernatural films, bring about an epic massacre. While thinking, Old Wu picked up his phone and opened a group chat named Dragon Kingdom's Top 10 Awesome Directors. Take a photo of the scene in front of us. Send it to the group chat. Old Wu, you're awesome, it's a wrap. I feel like this scene was shot incredibly well. There's a chance we'll get the Best Film and Television Gold Award. Li Yang. Old Wu is awesome. I told you that actor was good. I said he was the eerie film emperor. Seeing Liang's reply, Old Wu paused for a moment. He had completely forgotten about the actor Li Yang introduced to him, because he was too excited after seeing me. He completely forgot for a moment. And in his opinion, Li Yang, an outsider, thought the acting was good. It was very likely on the same level as Jia Hao. He didn't take it to heart at the time. Old Wu replied, "Old Li, I forgot. And I didn't even see that actor." Li Yang typed a question mark. The eerie film emperor. You don't need anyone else. Zhang Baiwan, Old Wu, you're awesome. Your crew finished filming? Recently I've been selecting actors in Zhaokang City. Do you have any good actors to recommend? Li Yang said, I have an eerie film emperor. Li Yang didn't know at this moment that the eerie film emperor he spoke of had caused Old Wu and his crew such immense psychological trauma. Originally, I thought my spot was taken by someone else. Seeing that Zhang Baiwan was going to shoot a film now, I subconsciously wanted to try and get a spot for myself. Old Wu replied to Zhang Baiwan, don't listen to that outsider Li Yang spouting nonsense here. I actually do have one here. Come over for our celebration dinner tonight. I'll introduce you. After Old Wu finished speaking, Zhang Baiwan replied with an OK gesture. After seeing Zhang Baiwan's reply, Old Wu put away his phone and looked at everyone. Tonight, I'm treating everyone at the Caesar Hotel. Order whatever you like. Awesome, director. The crowd, upon hearing Old Wu's words, began to cheer and shout. In the evening, at the Caesar Hotel, everyone held their wine glasses, chatting and laughing in the private room. I stood among the crowd. From time to time, someone would strike up a conversation with him. Upon seeing my clear yet foolish and adorable innocent eyes, they still couldn't understand how such a person could be the same person who played the eerie character. Indeed, the deceptive nature of appearance was still too great. Old Wu hurried into the reception room. He quickly scanned his surroundings. After seeing me, he quickly and eagerly approached and enthusiastically greeted Teacher Zhang. After seeing me look at him, Old Wu didn't beat around the bush. He went straight to the point. Teacher Zhang, do you have any availability recently? My friend has a project. They're quite short on actors right now. I wonder if Teacher Zhang has any interest. A project is short on actors? After hearing Old Wu's words, my eyes lit up. One must know that he was no longer an ordinary person. He was a nuclear-powered donkey. There were also two mascots in the system space that needed to be supported. What if one day his fear value wasn't enough, and both mascots appeared in his dream, giving him a double fright? Just thinking about it was exciting. Playing an eerie character? My eyes shone as I looked at Old Wu. Seeing my expression, Old Wu was surprised. So excited to play an eerie character? The actors who previously played eerie characters, after finishing their scenes, couldn't wait to rest for a couple more days at home, basking in the sun. But this person in front of him, he just wrapped up filming today. Yet, upon hearing about a new project, he was so excited. Just like a car slave or house slave hearing about an opportunity to make money. But Teacher Zhang, Didn't he just receive a 2 million appearance fee? He couldn't possibly be a nuclear-powered donkey. Yes, and no. Old Wu paused at this point, pondering in his mind. Then he continued, my friend wants to film a project about mirror-related supernatural phenomena. They're currently looking for a lead actor. Lead actor? After hearing the words lead actor, I instantly lost all interest. You have to know who the lead actor is. That's the soul of the entire series. How could the lead actor be a ghost? If he can't play a ghost, then he can't scare people and won't be able to gain fear points. Thinking of this, my expression darkened. Seeing such a drastic change in his reaction, Old Wu cursed inwardly. Teacher Zhang isn't really a psychopath, is he? He can't just like scaring people, can he? Wasn't he a comedian before? Comedians, aren't they supposed to bring joy and laughter to the audience? How did he blacken now? Thinking of this, an image of me wearing a leather suit appeared in Old Wu's mind. It was only after a while that Old Wu came up with an answer. Who isn't crazy these days? Teacher Zhang, don't rush to refuse yet. I'll go ask about the specific details. With that said, Old Wu quickly walked towards a private room nearby. Inside the private room, after Zhang Baiwan saw Old Wu return, he asked, Old Wu, how was it? Are there any suitable actors? Do you have a secretary character? Old Wu asked. A secretary character? Zhang Baiwan muttered. The script kept echoing in his mind. According to his idea, he wanted to film a supernatural horror movie. Since Old Wu's goal was to make everyone scared upon hearing a knock at the door, then his goal was to make people scared after seeing a mirror. Therefore, he wanted to film a supernatural horror movie about mirrors. The entire plot develops as the male lead looks into a mirror, and discovers that his reflection in the mirror is not right. This is how the story unfolds. Shouldn't both inside and outside the mirror be the male lead's appearance? In other words, the male lead needs to play multiple roles. How could there possibly be a separate role arranged for an eerie character? Not to mention their appearances would be different, even if they were the same. Two people, separated by the mirror frame, performing identical actions. This is ridiculous. If they can't perform the exact same movements, why would he deliberately make filming more difficult? Thinking of this, Zhang Baiwan shook his head. For appearance, they could find a face sculptor to create a face, but making two people perform exactly the same movements, that would be too difficult, wouldn't it? It would be very easy to break the illusion. Since they can be arranged separately, that makes things easier. As for the filming, just let them refine it thoroughly. Hearing Zhang Baiwan's reply, Lao Wu quickly spoke up. After speaking, Lao Wu was just about to leave the private room. Tell me this news. But just as he was about to leave the private room, Lao Wu suddenly stopped. He looked at Zhang Baiwan with a strange expression. Are the other actors in your crew brave? Zhang Baiwan was stunned for a moment upon hearing Lao Wu's words. What kind of joke is that? He was a respectable director of supernatural films, and the actors he cast, they were all among the best in supernatural films. The scripts they had filmed were too many to count on one hand. He came here today just to find more suitable candidates for the roles, striving for perfection. Now, Lao Wu was actually asking if their current cast members were brave. Zhang Baiwan's mouth twitched twice. Not to mention anything else, Lao Wu, being brave, was a fundamental quality for a supernatural film actor. If a supernatural film actor didn't even have courage, how could they talk about acting skills? With that statement from you, I can rest assured. A mischievous smile appeared on Lao Wu's face. Then he continued, Baiwan, are you still pursuing a single continuous shot? Zhang Baiwan nodded. A trace of fervor flashed in his eyes. Only with a single continuous shot can the audience's sense of immersion be increased, and only then can a good work be produced. Hearing Zhang Baiwan's answer, Lao Wu quickly turned around, frantically suppressing the smile at the corner of his mouth. Good brother, it seems you have no hope of making a movie this year, and you still want to pursue a one-shot take. That's pure nonsense. Once Teacher Zhang goes to your film crew, your actors had better wear diapers when they perform. That way, for this year's Golden Cup Award, I'll have one less competitor. I'm just too clever. But you can't blame me for this. You asked me to recommend some good actors to you. And I recommended Teacher Jiang, a veteran of grotesque comedy. An actor whose skill in playing eerie roles is masterly. It can be said that in the entire Xiaoqiang city, if he says he's second, no one dares to say they're first. Just tell me, isn't your good brother good to you? Such a good actor. When you came to me for a recommendation, I immediately decided to recommend him to you. The more he thought about it, old Wu's smile at the corner of his mouth grew wider and harder to suppress. To prevent Jiang Baiwan from noticing anything amiss, old Wu quickly pushed open the door and jogged all the way to me. Teacher Jiang has news. Old Wu reported the situation to me, his face full of joy. However, there's a difficult point in this scene. It requires you to perfectly imitate other people's actions. I paused. The ghost in the mirror costume appeared in my mind. With this costume, wouldn't imitating others' actions be extremely easy? Yes, no problem. After getting my reply, old Wu quickly pulled him towards a private room nearby. They arrived at the private room and sat down. Old Wu sat next to Jiang Baiwan. Patting his shoulder, he said, "Look, this is the veterinary actor I recommended to you." Following old Wu's gaze, he saw a young man who looked innocent and cute. If you tried to associate eerie with him, the two couldn't be more unrelated. This young man is a veterinary actor? He doesn't look like one. What kind of eerie actor looks so innocent, and whose eyes even give off a feeling of clear foolishness? In his impression, as if all his energy had been drained, his entire being exuded a faint aura of death. But he, on the other hand, gave off an aura of sunshine, handsome and full of vigor. Most importantly, he was ridiculously handsome. Looking at me, Jiang Baiwan furrowed his brow. He glanced at old Wu beside him. He strongly suspected that old Wu was trying to trick him. "Old Wu, is this young man the actor you recommended?" Jiang Baiwan scrutinized old Wu. He cleared his throat and said earnestly to old Jiang, "You don't think I'm trying to trick you, do you? I can use my integrity to guarantee that Teacher Jiang is top-notch in Xiaoqiang City." As he spoke, old Wu gave a thumbs up. Seeing old Wu's earnest guarantee, Jiang Baiwan found it hard to say anything more. "All right, I believe you. It's just that I'm still short a few actors. Could you recommend a few more? Didn't your crew just wrap up filming? Do the male and female leads have any availability recently?" Hearing Jiang Baiwan's question, old Wu's expression turned strange. Good heavens, this guy is truly shameless. He had originally thought that he came to Xiaoqiang just to select a few actors. Now it seems he wasn't going to the company to select them at all. He completely intended to stock up from him. "Yes, Jihao's schedule is currently open. If you like him, feel free to take him." Old Wu patted his chest. But Jiang Baiwan's expression was strange. He had heard of this Jihao. In old Wu's county, there was a pair of exceptional talents from one family, Jihao and Jiahao. Jiahao seemed to have been ruined by that kid Liang some time ago. He tried to prevent it, but now only Jihao remains well. Now this guy actually wants to give Jihao away. Seeming to realize Jiang Baiwan's thoughts, old Wu then added, "Jihao and the other actors, as long as the actors themselves are willing, you can take them all." After a moment's hesitation, Jiang Baiwan made a decision. "All right." With Jiang Baiwan's agreement, old Wu immediately arranged for the other two main actors to enter the private room. "This is Gao Xiao. The other one was the male lead, Ji Xiao." Old Wu kept introducing them to Jiang Baiwan. Upon hearing old Wu call their names, they quickly stood up and smiled at Jiang Baiwan. "I called the two of you over today mainly because there's a scene, and I want to ask if you're willing to participate." Old Wu got straight to the point, looking at the two. After hearing old Wu's words, the two were just about to nod in agreement, but after seeing me sitting beside them, they hesitated. "Filming is fine, even getting drenched for a scene is fine. But combine these two, and then have me play the eerie character. No way. They still want to live for a few more years." It seemed someone noticed their reservations. Jiang Baiwan quickly spoke up, saying, "Don't worry. This time, your co-star is your former colleague. You must be very familiar with each other. As he spoke, Zhang Baiwan pointed at me sitting beside him. It's still this handsome guy playing the eerie character. The eerie actor from your last scene is the same person. After Zhang Baiwan finished speaking, the two, who were originally still hesitating, suddenly made up their minds. Going is out of the question. No matter how high the pay, we can't go. Isn't it good to be alive? Do we have to act opposite this man? Do they dislike not dreaming when they sleep at night? During the few days I acted with them, both of them every night would dream of the same scene. That was, someone kept knocking on their house door. After the door opened, it was their psychological trauma. The torment from the knocking ghost these past few days made them feel their lifespan had shortened by a few days. And they want them to act opposite me again? Then they'd rather quit the entertainment industry than quit the biosphere. No, 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 Director Zhang. I suddenly remembered. My agent has already scheduled other commitments for me, so I really can't make it. Gao Xiao shook her head vigorously. Then she pointed at Jiji Zhao Doji beside her. The young man seems to have no availability. You should ask him. Hearing Gao Xiao's words beside him, Jiji Xiao was completely stunned on the spot. His brain raced. One must understand that artists have no freedom. Even if they are unwilling, but without a legitimate reason, the company will pull out the exorbitant contract and ask if you know how to read. Although generally, the company and artists won't have a complete fallout, but the company nurtures them, with the fundamental goal of making money. Moreover, he genuinely has no availability right now. If Zhang Baiwan takes the contract to their company, I have to go these 2 days. My arm condition makes filming impossible for these 2 months. For the sake of his own mental health, Jiji Xiao also threw caution to the wind. And he made up his mind to ask his agent for leave and explain today. Faced with their repeated refusals, Zhang Baiwan felt a pang of regret. But he also knew that these things couldn't be forced. After a bit of small talk, and a satisfying meal, Zhang Baiwan then led me to Zhongyuan City. After a brief discussion of the script, he arranged a hotel for me to stay in first. 3 days later, after receiving a call from the production team, I arrived at the filming location. This location was clearly much more upscale than Xinfu Community. It was a 3-story villa. For the sake of filming authenticity, Zhang Baiwan planned to conceal my participation. Before filming, he had a face mask made, which was then put on me. That way, the actors' genuine reactions would definitely make the film more immersive. For this, Zhang Baiwan spent the last 2 days designing several relatively simple movements overnight. Even the bending angle of the arm, and the distance of each step, were calculated with absolute precision. Zhang Zi, I'll first take you to familiarize yourself with tonight's filming location. You can practice right away, Zhang Baiwan said. I nodded silently. Led by Zhang Baiwan, the two soon arrived at a room inside the villa. The room's layout was very simple. The only thing different was that the lighting was particularly dim. Look, this is the result of 3 days' work by 7 prop masters. Zhang Baiwan pointed at the mirror on the vanity. Following the direction Zhang Baiwan pointed, I looked over. I saw that the mirror on the vanity was actually fake. That fake mirror was like a window, connecting 2 rooms. And in these 2 rooms, whether it was the room layout or the decor, they were identical. If I hadn't stood in front of the mirror and found no one on the other side, it would have been hard to notice. How about it? Tonight, you'll try to scare Fang Shiming here. Try to get it right in 1 take. Zhang Baiwan said, patting my shoulder. It wasn't that Zhang Baiwan didn't want to reveal my participation, or spread the news about it. But rather, seeing my innocent face, and clear, naive eyes, Zhang Baiwan was very worried that I wouldn't be able to scare anyone. Based on my looks alone, this was the situation. So Zhang Baiwan resorted to this trick, not telling the male lead about me, creating an information asymmetry, allowing me to surprise him, to the greatest extent possible, to recreate the scene where Fang Shiming gets scared. In Zhang Baiwan's life philosophy, The human body's most natural reaction surpasses all acting. Wait a moment. I'll have the face mask artist send over Fang Shiming's face mask. You practice the movements here first. After Jiang Baiwan finished speaking, he left the room, leaving me alone to practice. At night, everyone began to get busy. Everyone get ready. Our man in the mirror is about to start filming. Let's try to get it in one take. Jiang Baiwan, holding a megaphone, kept shouting at the surrounding staff. Hearing Jiang Baiwan's words again, Fang Shiming felt a wave of speechlessness. 3 days ago, he inexplicably received a script from the director. After opening it, it turned out to be action requirements. Zhao Jing was then startled. There were even action requirements. This left Fang Shiming utterly speechless. If the company hadn't required him to finish this scene, after Fang Shiming received the script with action requirements, he would definitely have walked away. A third-tier director actually had so many demands. Fang Shiming inherently looked down on Jiang Baiwan. In his opinion, these directors, throughout their entire lives, among the dozens of films they made, couldn't even compare to a first-tier director's. A casually shot film's high box office. Even with a first-tier director, playing a minor role, if performed well, would still be no better than playing the male lead for a third-tier director. What's more, this male lead was also a villain. If it weren't for hearing that the male lead also had a bed scene, when initially choosing scripts, Fang Shiming wouldn't even have looked at this script. Teacher Fang, get ready to shoot. Jiang Baiwan looked at Fang Shiming, who was standing by with his arms crossed, and reminded him. Fang Shiming carefully chose a group. He casually replied, "Got it." Then he walked towards the filming location. After seeing Fang Shiming leave, the prop master next to Jiang Baiwan said with a worried expression, "Director Jiang, if you retaliate against him like this, what if his company, along with his fans, makes trouble for us? What should we do?" Retaliate? What retaliation? Jiang Baiwan looked confused. Everything Jiang Baiwan did was actually just to shoot a better drama. He hadn't thought of revenge at all. Although finding an actor who can portray Uranus to film would increase the difficulty exponentially, but in Jiang Baiwan's view, this kind of high-potential thing, the effect it would present, would definitely be more watchable than acting scared in front of a mirror. However, Jiang Baiwan's actions, it landed in the eyes of several individuals who were in a prop-like face-fitting mode, were instead misinterpreted as retaliation. Actors, get ready. Action. As Jiang Baiwan's voice fell, Fang Shiming also instantly got into character. After entering the house, he casually tossed his clothes onto the sofa and walked towards the bathroom. The cameraman followed behind Fang Shiming, constantly changing angles as he filmed. Since I was playing the eerie figure in the mirror, there was currently no need to assign another cameraman specifically for me. According to the script, after Fang Shiming entered the bathroom, he would casually close the door. And I, in the adjacent room, upon hearing the door close, began to walk towards the mirror. With a bang, Fang Shiming closed the door and walked towards the wash basin. The prop master on set watched Fang Shiming through the camera lens, and couldn't help but ask in confusion, "He seems to be walking a bit too fast." Jiang Baiwan, watching the monitor, also frowned tightly at this moment. Fang Shiming seemed to be venting his inner displeasure. He did not follow Jiang Baiwan's requirements for how many centimeters each step should be, or what kind of movements to make. In his opinion, this director named Jiang Baiwan, who restricted actors so much, simply didn't know how to direct. True acting was natural and came from the heart. Watching Fang Shiming's movements on screen, Jiang Baiwan's brows furrowed deeper and deeper, but he still didn't call cut. He knew that if he called cut at this point, everything prepared over the past 3 days would be for naught. Since that was the case, he might as well observe Fang Shiming. When he discovered in the mirror, the reaction when the two figures' movements didn't match. As Fang Shiming walked to the mirror, I also approached the mirror. Looking at Fang Shiming, separated by just a wall, I couldn't help but feel a flicker of doubt. This kid's movements seemed to have sped up. If I hadn't put on the mirror ghost costume in advance, I really might not have been able to keep up. Once I put on the costume, He felt as if his body were a puppet on strings. Regardless of what movements Fang Shiming made, I could accurately and unfailingly replicate them. As time went on, that feeling on his body gradually subsided. He came before the sink. After Fang Shiming saw himself in the mirror, he silently cursed, "What a fucking idiot director," once more. Even an actor's movements had to be restricted. At the same time, he began to recall the script's content. According to the script, when he washed his face and looked in the mirror, he would discover that the mirror was off. Afterwards, he would pretend to be scared and look at the mirror. In post-production, an eerie figure would be photoshopped into the mirror. Thinking of this, Fang Shiming calmly opened the tap. He washed his face. As the water flowed and washed, Fang Shiming felt completely refreshed. Just as he raised his head, intending to proceed with the next part of the scene, Fang Shiming froze. He saw himself in the mirror, in an extremely slow manner, opening the tap, and beginning to wash. Its movements, neither slow nor fast, gradually quickened. Seeing the anomaly in the mirror, Fang Shiming hurriedly took a step back. And at this moment, his reflection in the mirror also finished washing. It mimicked Fang Shiming's movement, taking a step back. Wait, this doesn't seem right. Shiming pointed at the mirror and looked towards the young cameraman beside him.